I had no idea that Postal, the original Postal and the original Grand Theft Auto came out nearly at the same time. It's really interesting to see how each of the series manifested over the decades, and it's really awesome to see that both of these series are still around and they're both very successful in their own rights, and it's really cool to see fans adoring both properties.
It's so interesting to hear about a different time in video games because video games have changed. We are more desensitized to violence. It was something different that people hadn't seen before, and it was really shocking to people. So hearing all of that firsthand from Vince Desi, from our historian Stephen Kent, who was experienced in that whole video game report card, because I was only 5 years old when Postal came out. And so I don't have that experience. I played Postal 1 much later in life.
Another fun fact about Postal that I thought was really interesting is the developer of Postal 3, Akela. They were a powerhouse company in Russia. They were responsible for Postal 2 rising to superstardom in the country, and they also did games like the OG Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, it's an inside joke in the Postal community that, you know, what's Postal 3? Oh, Postal 3 doesn't exist. Or, you know, obviously people slate it all the time for being a really bad game. And when you learn the story, it's not running with scissors or Akela's fault. It was just unfortunate circumstances due to financial constraints and a lot of turnover. And unfortunately, Postal 3 became a victim of just being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But the minds behind it were brilliant.
My first experience to Postal was actually the Postal movie. I really think that Uwe Boll did a really good job on the Postal movie. And you hear all these horror stories on the internet about like the making of Postal and how crazy it was and how people hate it. But then you hear firsthand from Zach Ward and Larry Thomas and Chris Coppola and Uwe Boll himself about how great of a production it was. And so it's interesting to see that juxtaposition between the people who made the movie and then the release of the movie, what that looked like, because most people were disappointed. I think it's a very entertaining movie for what it is, but unfortunately it's just a product of its time, of the early 2010s, where movies were a little edgier, and this one was just definitely a little too edgy. I mean, that 9/11 scene didn't do the movie many favors because it got pulled from what was supposed to be 1,000 screens all the way down to 13 screens.